Welcome to another Hoops and Dreams podcast. My name is Brian Fisher and I'm your host as we review the recent games and then briefly look ahead to the up and coming matches as well. If you want a more detailed analysis of the matches that are up and coming, then do look for our regular podcast by James Miller and Dave Barton. In this podcast, I'm joined by Tony, also known as Ghost on the Hoops and Dreams Forum, where he runs a very successful prediction competition. Well, successful for some anyway. If you have not explored the Hoops and Dreams Forum, then I do recommend that you do so, because there's some great competitions on there. And Tony's is the home and away prediction competition. And it's a really good one. Welcome to you, Tony.
Thank you.
My second guest is a footballing companion of mine. So we're often analysing the latest match at these sessions. On the Hoops and Dreams Forum, he's known as Hastings Hoop, but his real name is Ian. Welcome to you as well, Ian.
Hello.
Okay, the season started at the back end of July, and the R's have now completed 8 championship games. So we have another opportunity to review how QPR have performed. We've also got an opportunity to talk to our two guests and get their opinions on how they feel it's gone. But first of all, we're going to review those games, those 3 games that we're talking about: Watford versus QPR, QPR versus Hull, and Swansea versus QPR. So that's 1 home game, 2 away games. So let's start with our away game against the Hornets, who prior to this fixture were already riding high in the league. Watford had only conceded 1 goal in the whole of this season so far, and was sitting 7th on 9 points. The normal back 4 had Johansson and Field ahead of it, and up front it was Dizelle, Chair and Willock supporting Dykes. From the start, the R's pushed up Parle and Laird, while at the same time forcing Watford to use the wings. The tactics worked, and Watford looked rightly frustrated at times, but our high line did leave us exposed. However, on 17 minutes, Chair's long-range optimistic shot from outside the area was deflected into the goal. Watford did improve after that, though, and 10 minutes later were level after Semmer found himself through on goal. But on the 33rd minute, interplay between Laird and Willock allowed the latter to shoot and put the R's back ahead again. So 1-2 at that stage. At half-time, that was still the score, but you felt there was more to come. Sadly for the R's, it was another Watford goal. The equaliser on 49 minutes came as a result of a player being allowed to travel almost unopposed through the middle. After that, Dykes came off, and that meant Adoma was idling by the far post to convert Parle's excellent low cross and make it 3-2. Further changes were made, resting Chair for Armstrong, and later Willock and Johansson for Masterson and Kake. We dug in and got 3 rather unexpected points. I felt this was a great all-round performance against the side packed with Premier level talent. Tony, what about you?
Yeah, absolutely agree. It was a great game. Slightly tricky one for me because I was sat in amongst all the Watford season ticket holders.
Oh, I forgot.
But yeah, I mean, it was a fabulous game. You couldn't take your eyes off it really, because I mean, it could have been anything. Could have been 4-2 to us. Could have been 3-3. It was just a brilliant game. It was a really good performance. I think for me, it was the first time where I could really see what Beale is trying to actually do with this team. And, I mean, everything about the performance was fantastic. The fact that, we matched what is essentially a Premier League team, certainly a good number of Premier League players. The fact that we got some fullbacks that are flying forward like the good old days. The couple of the goals were absolutely fabulous. The second goal was absolutely brilliant. Janssen and Dizelle, who are those guys that are wearing their shirts? I mean, they were both fantastic. And and of course, Chair and Willock were amazing as they often are. So just loads and loads of positives. And actually, one of the things I thought was really good is I thought when Watford got their second equaliser, I thought, here we go. But actually, we seemed to take the sting out of them pretty well from then on. A bit of gamesmanship, which you don't really very often see from us, a bit of game management. All round, really good performance.
Ian, do you agree this was a great match to watch if you were neutral?
Yeah, I mean, it was very much like a cup tie.
Yeah.
That sort of feel about it. I also, I was away. I was on a campsite with a dodgy stream, so I was listening to the QPR commentary and trying to watch the games on a dodgy which was about 3 minutes, behind and whatever. But so something happened, and then I saw it 3 minutes later. But we got It's with the first goal. I mean, good fortune. I mean, a complete deflection off, and in it went, settled it down, because it was we were a little bit slow starting, and then I thought, it's just sometimes you just need that thing to get your season going. Just a lucky one, and they got that goal, and they just kept going on, and it was a very, very good game. Very, very enjoyable.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that as well. I mean, I agree with both of you on that. And Tony, I think that you're right. It was the first signs of what Mick Beale was trying to achieve, and I think that leads us nicely into QPR versus Hull on the following Tuesday. On cloud nine after that thrilling victory, and it really was thrilling, against a largely, as you say, Premier League side. We met a newly revitalised Hull in a midweek game at Loftus Road. Hull was sitting third on 11 points and had to be treated, surely, therefore, with a lot of respect. But it was not surprising that Beale decided that he was going to field the same side as Saturday. If the team played well on Saturday, then they were going to play great against Hull, I suppose was his thinking. They dominated the first 20 minutes, there's no doubt about that, moving the ball around quickly and successfully, plus getting that early goal courtesy of Chair's speculative long-range shot and a deflection. 4 minutes later, Powell cross into the area, finds Laird, who slots home. I think that was Laird's first goal. And that was really good. So we were 3-0 up after 39 minutes. And then, of course, we had Willock. 39 minutes, we were 3-0 up after Willock placed his ball neatly in the net. So that's really good. 3 different players, 3 different excellent goals. On 52 minutes, Mick Beale started to rest players. But those changes, sadly, I felt, altered the play sufficiently to allow Hull back into the game. And on 84 minutes, a through ball was declared onside, and the resultant goal gave us a 3-1 lead at the end. Yet another where I was hoping that the home advantage would provide a draw against high flyers. Instead, we saw QPR dominate play in an exciting and entertaining way. It was energetic, and it really required the concentration levels to be high. But I did so enjoy watching QPR achieve its potential. Okay, so they screwed up my predictions for a draw, but I was delighted that we won. Tony, what about you?
I mean, I thought it was a really good performance. In the end, it was a pretty comfortable win. I mean, it was interesting. I mean, the first 20 minutes or so was just clinical. So, I mean, the game was kind of not really settling down. Both sides were kind of pressing pretty hard, and there was a lot of kind of blocking and tackling going in. Yeah. But we just had the edge, and we just found a couple of moments of real quality and scored 2 fantastic goals. And we're well on top of that stage. Actually, I thought Hull was starting to get a little bit back into it as the half went on. And Willock's goal was very welcome when it came. It was a bit, in a way, it was a bit of a relief to put a bit more space.
Yeah.
And then the second half, I mean, Hull started reasonably strong with those changes, but I thought by, I don't know, by 65 minutes, although they seemed to have just run out of ideas and we were looking very comfortable. And so when their goal actually came, it was actually a bit of a surprise because I felt we looked really comfortable at that point. But I mean, there was never any doubt we were going to see it out. And, you know, another really good performance. The energy going into that pressing was amazing. And 3 fantastic goals.
Yeah, very interesting that you're saying about the pressing. That was something that I think made that game and gave us the dominance, was that pressing. Ian, great performance for you.
Yeah, I mean, Willock had a really good chance in the 6th minute as well.
Yeah,
which and then we scored with the 9th minute. So we sort of like really took the game by the scruff of the neck, and they seemed to really, you know, be playing with confidence, particularly after the game against Watford. They were riding high, and you just had that, you know, it had that feeling about it, you know, where sometimes you go and it's got that, everything sort of goes right. And yeah, they were doing really well. I mean, obviously it should have been 4 at one stage.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the room there.
We shouldn't mention that.
Yeah, but, you know, I thought I would. And
it was terrible.
Yeah, but there we go. He's fairly low on confidence at the moment. Let's hope he, you know, get a couple of goals and get a bit of confidence going.
That's all he needs. That's all he needs.
He just needs to hit it first time and not think about it.
Yeah. He had so much time there. I think he literally talked himself out of it.
Yes. Yeah. So then, and then we took the foot off the gas a little bit. After that, I thought, and then we let them back in, and then scored one. I thought, oh, not another one. We don't want to be hanging on at the end, but they saw it out, and in the end of the day, it was a really good win.
Yeah, I think if we'd have had perhaps a bit more in depth in the squad, which, you know, we're starting to get towards, that probably would have been allowed us to carry on and really put them under the cosh and finish it off completely. And what I see is that we're actually playing the reverse of how we played last season. Last season we were great slow burners. Eventually we got going, and eventually we did something. This season it's the horses are coming out, you know, right at the beginning and going wham, and we're scoring, and it's just as well because later on we're sort of tailing off a bit. So and no great surprise because, you know, as you both said, the amount of energy that's going into the pressing and into the attacks, it's no great surprise at all.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on to Swansea against QPR. That was last Saturday, 3rd of September. In contrast to Hull, Swansea were languishing in 22nd place with only 1 win in the last 5 games. Surely this was another side the Super Hoops should be winning against. And yet another one I predicted for a win. Yet again, the R's decided to disappoint us. This seemed to be a case of one match too many in a short period, rather than a question of sort of getting the tactics wrong. And we ended up losing 1-0 in the end, in pretty awful conditions as well. We don't seem to play well in the rain for some reason. The big question was why we could not score. Tony, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't one of those really horrible games where we're kind of really under the cosh and you think we could play for months and never score. It wasn't one of those. No. It was just a bit disappointing, and just you know, like everyone was a mark down on the matches against Hull and Watford. You know, there was nothing. I mean, I suppose Sam Field had a personal nightmare a couple of times, but there wasn't. You know, there was nobody kind of. Yeah, we weren't terrible. It just didn't quite work. And, you know, you get things like, you know, against Hull, Johansson did 2 fantastic blocks, both went to a Rangers player and resulted in a goal. On Saturday, whenever he did that, it went to a Swansea player. And so, I don't know, things just weren't quite falling, or that last pass just didn't quite get there. So I think, I don't know, stuff just wasn't quite working. I think Swansea played pretty well. I think they had a system that worked really well against us. They clearly had targeted Willock and tried to kind of double mark him out the game. They used the wings very well. Ryan Manning had a good game, I thought.
Yeah,
and I suppose the other thing that's kind of got to be said is that I thought the ref had an absolute shocker. So I mean, there's obviously the tackle on Willock in the first minute. There was the penalty that wasn't. And then there were a couple of other incidents, a little bit like the Willock one for Dykes and one for Armstrong near the end. And I think he got all four of those wrong. But, I think we were just a little bit off it. And I think Swansea had a good system that worked pretty well against us.
Yeah.
I think their 22nd was a bit of a false position before the match.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I have to also agree with you about the match officials. I mean, that was a clear shirt tugging on Chris Willock, outside the penalty area in the first minute, just on the edge, wasn't it? He was in a clear goal scoring position. So for me, that was without a doubt was a red card. And the only reason I feel it was probably never applied was because it was in the first minute. That's the only reason I can think. And that's wrong. If you have rules, that you should keep to them. 10 minutes later, it was a clear offside, which was ignored too. But I think the cross that hit Dunn's shoulder, for that to be a penalty, that was just ridiculous. And how the referee could see that from the distance he was away, because the match official, the linesman never said a word. So really, really odd. Perhaps at that point, we should have realised that early on here, this was not going to be our day. I mean, no matter what we were going to do, it looked to me as if the match officials were going to put a stop to it. Their goal was not a result of a match official going wrong. It was a result of Field trapping a ball, and it just went the wrong way.
To be fair, it was a tough pass to him.
It was an awful pass, and there were a few that day, to be honest. So he didn't get it cleanly, and these things happen. And by sheer luck, it goes to Piru, who Dunn hadn't realised was there. He should have seen him. He didn't. It allowed him enough time to slot it away. But those simple errors, gave an unmarked player an easy shot and a goal. So we had 8 shots, only 3 were on target, I think. Ian, if we'd had more we had more possession than them. But do you feel this match was just one of those games?
Yeah, quite often, once we've had a couple of good results, and particularly a lower team, we do struggle. It's been, all the years I've been watching, it's always sort of happened.
It is.
Yeah, well, whenever you get that false sense of security, but we didn't really produce much at all, did we? Not really. I mean, as you say, the Willock thing was in the first minute.
Yeah.
If it'd been the other way and it'd been given a penalty against us, and we would have probably been on here now moaning about it. It's one of those. It sort of was blatant, but it wasn't as well. I think perhaps if it had been a bit later on, we might have got it. But really, that was our best chance. Really, we didn't really do much else, to be honest.
No. Do you think that we were tired, or do you think it's just that Swansea were far, far better on their tactics?
Oh, I think they were probably just that much more up for the game. I think possibly tired, maybe. But we just didn't. We just weren't firing on all cylinders, and which we were in the previous 2 games. Yeah,
exactly. And I think we were riding on this wave of optimism and coming into this and then thinking, well, Swansea, this will be okay. That just shows. It's a funny old game there in the Championship, but we don't seem to help ourselves at times. So we didn't dominate enough on that game, and therefore we didn't get any goals in there. And then we were struggling to catch up all the time.
Without a sort of like a top goal scorer on form, you did wonder whether the belief of where is that going to come from? Where is the goal going to come from? And it wasn't full of optimism that we were actually going to get one, to be honest.
No, and shutting down Willock, you were right, Tony, when they were saying that there was 2 on him all the time. That effectively nullified the Chair Willock interchange. That was quite clever of them, I think, to do that. If anybody else has listened to this from another team, I didn't say anything. But so negatives, we look second best, it must be said. We probably tired. We were struggling to score against a packed defence, which we're going to get all season. This is what they're going to be doing against us. We've yet to keep a clean sheet. I hate to keep going on about this. And we lost against a side where we should at least have drawn with. Positives, the team started well and finished well, which is not much you can say. It sounds so glib, doesn't it? On top of that, the new signings, Tim Gabunham. I'll have a go with that one.
Yeah, he looked quite lively.
Leo Balogun. Both
he looked really good.
They both looked
I
promising.
mean, it's only 10 minutes and we'll see, but he looked really good, I thought.
Yeah. He looked so he was up for it anyway. You know.
I agree.
And
Okay.
I think the thing is, if you're relying on Field and Johansson and Dazelle and the current three pressing as much as they are, you need some fresh legs. And this guy looks like he is, you know, I mean, you bring him on and he'll do a fantastic job for you. He looks really good.
He looks fast, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's fast. He's into the tackle. He played a lovely through ball, which just so nearly was a chance at the end there. Yeah, I like the look of him.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see how he develops. It does look good.
I mean, he's played 10 minutes, so it's just an early indication.
I think what he's given us with these two coming in is that extra bit of depth that we didn't have before, and we must have that. Okay, so a couple of questions for you. Currently, we've got Nico Hammerleinen, George Thomas, Taylor Richards, Jake Clark-Slater, Leon Balogun, Luke Amos. All of those are coming back from injury, with Clark-Slater and Luke Amos actually due back before the international break with a bit of luck. We also have the newly arrived Tim Egburnham. God, I'm just going to call him Tim, I think, in midfield. So which of these do you regard as the most needed to improve or stabilise our starting 11? Ian?
Obviously, Balogun, we're hoping that he come on as a sub, so he's getting his fitness. So he's quite, he's very experienced, isn't he?
Yeah.
So, he's not like throwing in a youngster. He is very experienced in German leagues, so hopefully he might come through.
He's the opposite of Tim, isn't he? He's old head out there, and Tim's the young one.
Yeah.
He's only 19, I think.
Yeah.
So, and Tony, go on, Ian. So, come on, give us an answer then. Is it Leon you're going for?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and is that because you feel that it gives a bit more flexibility at the back, or is it because you?
Because he's at the top of my list.
Okay, that's fair enough. Tony, what about you?
I'm actually very happy with our current starting 11. So I don't think that we need them to replace someone who's already in the starting 11. I think what we actually need them for is to keep going for the season. So I think it showed again on Saturday that we haven't really got much on the subs bench to bring on to try and affect the game. And so I think it's depth. I mean, we just talked about Bunham.
Tim.
I mean, he looks like he's definitely going to add something. I mean, I hope he doesn't come in ahead of Johansson or Field, but if one of those got injured, or if Johansson can't do 3 matches a week or whatever, he's great cover. I'd like to see Luke Amos back. I think he really added something last season. He gives us something a bit different in midfield. And the other one, I mean, we haven't seen him yet, but I'd quite like to see what Taylor Richards has got about him.
Yeah, I must admit, I thought about him as well. I was going to settle on one of the centre backs, but just for the reason of giving us some flexibility and the solidity at the back. But considering how we are performing in attacking midfield at the moment, I opted for Luke Amos to make the biggest impact, which I know will please you, Tony, because I know you're a great fan of his.
Yeah, I'm a fan of him.
But I do feel that you're absolutely right. At the beginning, at the end of last season, he was pushing through, and he was the player I thought he was going to be when we first signed him. So I was very, very much in favour of him. Okay, let's move on. With the addition of Leo Balogun and a fit Jake Clark-Slater, we would have 5 designated centre-backs. If you were Mick Beale, would you change what has been a workable and successful back 4 for a back 3 with wing-backs instead? Tony, how about you starting off?
Probably not.
Right, okay.
Because the thing is, we are vulnerable to particularly the kind of wide balls. We play the high line and the wing back, the fullbacks forward. But and if you put a third centre back in, yes, it would solidify things a bit. But you'd lose someone out of midfield, and if most of our midfield, Willett, Chair have got to be in, and they're both very much attacking. I know Chair covers acres, but they're attacking. So you're going to lose one of your kind of more defensive-minded midfielders. So you might lose as much as you gain, to be honest. Based on the 3 matches we just looked at, I'd be happy to continue with the current formation. But, see how it goes. It's good to have the option. It's good to have the flexibility. And it's good, if there's a particular team that you want to match up in some way, to have the ability to do it. But as we are now, I'm kind of pretty happy with the formation we got.
Okay, Ian, what about you? Are you happy to stay with a winning formula?
Yeah, I see that Powell and Laird, they've recently come into the team. They're just settling down now. They seem to, really nice bit of composure, but also speed. So they need a good run in the team, I think, at the moment. So I wouldn't change a lot.
Oh, okay. Oh, this is nice. I'm going to be different. Last season, we ran with 3 centre-backs, and it worked very successfully for us. I feel that both Laird and Powell have the opportunity there to push further forward. We seem to be, I may be wrong, but I think the Mick Beale strategy is to push people out towards the wing, the opponents out towards the wing, where we then attack the ball and the player, obviously, in that order, and then get the ball back, and then use that for crossing, and then drive through the middle at the same time. I agree, you would lose somebody out of the midfield, and I guess that person would probably be Dazelle. Logic says that, but I just feel that would offer you more alternatives in attack and as well as defence. That's just my feeling. So I think we're split on that, and I mean, obviously you two are wrong. Oh dear. Okay, right. QPR against Huddersfield is coming up, so we need to do a quick preview on that. All I want from you is a win, draw or loss. So the Terriers are sitting in the bottom 3 on 4 points only. What a surprise from last year. Having lost their last 2 matches, and this is an away game for them, so you'd think, wouldn't you, that we would do well on this one. But I doubt this will be plain sailing, because this is QPR after all. So Ian, win, draw or loss?
Hoping for a win, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was a draw. So I'm going to go for a win.
Okay. Tony?
Yeah, I mean, all the omens are in the wrong direction. They're doing badly. I'm going with my dad. Watch out. But you've got to say we should win this. So I'll go for a win.
Yeah, I'm the same as you. It's 3 wins then. Oh, God. I just despair for this. Right. Millwall against QPR. That's on Wednesday the 14th. So we get a bit of recovery time, an extra day recovery there. Millwall are sitting mid-table, as they often are at this time of the year. They've just had 3 losses in a row, which is astonishing. But they did win on Saturday against Cardiff. As usual, it will certainly be a feisty game at the Den. Never is anything else but. If we play to our true potential, I feel we'll win. Tony, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I do feel that, but I got a sneaking suspicion this one's going to be a draw. Last season we didn't draw many, but I think I don't know. I can see us drawing more this year.
Okay, and Ian?
Yeah, a feisty game that might be enough to pull us through. So I'm going to go for a draw as well. I think on that one.
Okay,
because it's away in midweek, so yeah, draw.
Okay, that's fair enough. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it's always a tight game there. Right, the final one that we're going to look at is QPR against Stoke. That's on Saturday, the 17th of September. Stoke have had a mixed bag of results, and they sit 19th on 8 points only. So again, it's an opponent that we really should be winning against at Loftus Road. Tony?
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, any of these three games could go any which way. But I'm going to go for a win on this one. My one big doubt is it's the third match in a week, and maybe with a couple coming back in a bit more depth, then we can manage it a bit better. Yeah,
that's what I'm hoping as well. Right, and Ian?
Hoping for a win, obviously. Hope that we can actually sort of push on a bit now. So yeah, put me down. So I've gone for 2 wins and a draw. So I'm very optimistic.
Well, listen, I've gone for 3.
3 what?
Because I'm saying that we're going to win this one as well.
Oh right, okay.
All right, a quick one, quick straw poll from you. We're now in 9th place in the league. I think it's on 11 points. Is that where you thought we'd be after 8 championship matches, Ian?
Yeah, I wasn't that optimistic to start with. So yeah, reasonably happy with that. Yeah, I think we haven't had any consistency yet, and we're still we're in the right half. So hopefully that if we get a little bit of consistency, we can move up rather than down.
Tony?
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, I think that the points haven't come from the places necessarily I expected them to, but this is sort of the part of the table I was expecting us to be in, and if we finish this sort of area, I won't be too disappointed. I mean, obviously we all want to kind of be a bit higher, but
yeah, I go with that. I mean, that sounds fair enough. I mean, it's early days yet. I think the fact that we have got a striker who at the moment is misfiring has cost us some goals. Fair enough. I have to say though, Lyndon Dykes' hold-up play and his distribution of the ball is pretty damn good. It's just a finishing.
I agree with that. I mean, he hasn't really. I mean, yeah, he missed the sitter against Hull, but actually, the system we're playing is he's doing more bringing in other people than being the man to score the goals himself.
Yeah,
and I mean, he is putting in a hell of a shift. And yeah, I agree with you. His hold-up play is better than it's really come on. Big improvement over that aspect of his game in the past.
And I think what he's also doing is he's working between the 2 centre-backs, causing them no end of worries because they're never sure which one of them is looking after him. And so he sometimes has 2 of them on him. And that leaves space for Chair and Willock and even Dazelle to come through.
I think we missed him when he came off on Saturday, actually.
I agree.
We were getting a reasonable amount of success with those long balls forward. And that opportunity was gone once he came off.
Yeah, and I think we saw the limitations there of Armstrong, I think, to be honest. It's the way it goes. He's too young. Yeah,
precisely.
It's too much on his shoulders, I think, at times. But there we go. Okay, this has really been an enjoyable podcast, and that's largely down to you, my guests. Thank you very much, Tony and Ian.
Thank you.
I'd also like to thank editor Dave for his post-recording magic, which I'm sure he's going to be doing. And thank you for watching. Do consider clicking on the subscribe if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, and add in a comment. We always like the comments, and we'll try and get back to you on them. Or come and contribute on the most excellent Hoops and Dreams QPR Forum. I am Brian Fisher, and this was a Hoops and Dreams QPR podcast. Come on, you R's.
You R's.
We know who we are. You know who we are. We are QPR.